we're still speaking with Solomon and Dahi. Solomon, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic,
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank
So
you.
I was just asking, have you seen some of these monies? Do you know how? Have you seen any transfers or bags moving around?
Don't pass
What can you
yourself.
tell us about these monies that we are seeing in papers?
Okay, it's quite unfortunate that Nigeria is still at this stage. We're still at this level whereby we can have monies being allocated suspiciously, dangerously close to a handover of power. I don't. I wonder what the EFCC or the ICPC are doing. It doesn't make any sense for a governor that is going out of power in less than 20 days to be allotted such huge amounts of money for the purchase of vehicles for him and his wife. If you were telling me he was buying these vehicles for maybe some government officials whose position will still somehow be filled when the next administration comes in, it makes a lot of sense. But for him to just allot such monies for the purchase of personal vehicles for him, an outgoing public servant, is quite unfortunate. And we hope, because it will not be fair to say this is going to lay low. We hope that the EFCC and the ICPC uh, live up to their expectation by actually investigating and probably prosecuting some of these persons who are seen. As regarding appointments, it's also unfortunate. For goodness sake, what kind of impact is someone going to make in 18 days? Even Einstein cannot make any impact in 18 days. Why, if they were so good or if they are so capable, why wait so late before appointing them? It's very sad. And as for that appointment at the presidential level, I personally know the CP in question, the former CP and the current AIG who is retiring, Garba. He's in charge. He used to be Nigeria's liaison with the Interpol. I think he's a very, very intelligent man. But also, same question: why appoint him 18 days? Because I doubt if the incoming Minister of Police Affairs will retain him. So some of these things are questions that we just keep asking ourselves every day, and these are the kind of things that make us always wonder what kind of country our beloved Nigeria is. Because this is very questionable. This is laughable. In some space, some people watching or hearing this will think we are joking. They would nobody, very few people will actually believe what we are saying is true, except from us Nigerians that are here and are saying the reality. So it's actually very, very, it's embarrassing to say, because if you're a Nigerian and this is being said about your country,
All right.
it makes us look like a caricature.
All right, John Okerele, good morning. Welcome to VOP this morning. If you can hear me, please indicate. Hello, John Okerele. All right, I think while John tries to join us, I okay, John, you are on mute. Can you unmute so that we can hear your response?
Um,
John?
I'm here with you. I'm
Okay,
not
thank you.
muted.
Thank you very much. All right, welcome to VOP this morning. So here is
Thank
another
you. Thank you for
scenario.
having me.
We're beginning to see appointments be given to some individuals within the cabinet of either state governors, the president, and even some commissioners. And some of them will tell you that government is continuum, so it is normal. It makes no difference. Remember Boyega Oyetola too before the elections, whereby Adeleke was eventually, became the governor. You heard that he was able to appoint more officials within his cabinet. Almost a week to him stepping down, he appointed several officials, and one was wondering exactly what's going on. Why this kind of attitude with our public officials? Would we say that these are means through which monies can be taken off before they step down, or possibly it's just a general attitude with our public officials whenever their tenure is expiring? All right, John, I think John, if you can't hear us anymore, Solomon, please, you can quickly respond to that question.
Yes, so and I think it's becoming a law, it's becoming a norm, I beg your pardon, in Nigeria. And maybe going forward, the 10th National Assembly should put some form of legislation, because I consider it a pure waste of money. For goodness sake, you're appointing somebody 18 days before you leave administration. That means you're going to, because that person that is going to be appointed is definitely going to get some benefits. He's going to get some form of allotment. He's going to be given some things, and it's very unfortunate. Now, how do you justify such government spending? So all this part of why we need to hold our public servants more accountable. Exactly, this is one of the reasons why we need to see more laws, more graft laws, especially as it concerns. I hate the whole idea of immunity. I hate the fact that we have people that are serving with our money, but you give them immunity for a particular period of time. I feel everyone should be held accountable, regardless of your position at any time. You can't tell me because I'm a serving governor now, no matter what I do, you cannot hold me because there's immunity. No, at all. This is public service. This is money for the masses. So you can't just give such a blanket law and agree to somebody. So I think one of the reasons is that our executive, the people in the executive arm of government are given so much power, and then this immunity of a thing is worsening the situation. So I think the legislation here is very vital because this is very callous. I am telling you that many people hear what we are saying here, they think we are joking. No, very few people will actually believe that this is true.
All
It
right,
sounds like
all
a
right,
joke. Yes.
all right. Well, it's I hear that John is back with us. John, if you can hear me, I'd like for you to respond to this. Is this a case of is this a case of? I mean, I like to be fair. Is this a case of, oh, you know that you are about leaving office and you have a few things you want your friends to benefit from, and you're giving them the opportunity to eat from the national cake? Is that what we are seeing? Can we say that is what is playing out now, John? Well, you might need to unmute your microphone if you can hear me, because I cannot hear anything that you're saying, John.
John,
Okay,
can you? Okay,
so
he has unmuted or it's muted.
we still can't connect to John. Well, Ndahi, now let me ask you
Yes.
this question. The incoming the president elect has said that he will make he will make corruption unattractive, right? It, I don't know if that's his exact words now. That he will make it unattractive. Do you foresee, you know, the possibility of political offices being unattractive enough? People knowing that, look, if they come into this office, they will really serve and not just enrich themselves. Can we get to a point where that would be the case, and then maybe then we'll have we'll fine tune some of these things that make us look, maybe make us look like a joke before the international community.
Yes, thank you so much. I think I like the intention of the president elect because if you agree with me, my brother, one problem I've always had in this country is that our politics and political positions in Nigeria are too attractive. They're too attractive. Any human being in the world, I do not want to be judgmental. Any human being in the world you put in a Nigerian situation and sees how
Made the point.
attractive the positions are, how rewarding it is financially, you will not blame anybody for going any length to achieve those positions. And that is why you see that there's so much rigging, there's so much desperation, there's so much violence during our electoral process because the reward is so much, it's so high, it's so, it's so enticing. So I think I love that idea. Now, the problem is that we just hope it is not one of those things that are said and are never been done because it's always easier to talk than to do. Exactly. So I think the intent of the president elect is very good because in Nigeria, being a Nigerian politician is more attractive than being any other position in the world because you have the world at your feet. You are literally your legs will literally not touch the ground. So I think it will go a long way in reducing the corruption we're seeing, and it will also go a long way in improving development in the country. Where in a situation the elected positions are not too attractive and they are purely made for those who want to serve. In Nigeria, people that contest positions, people that are elected into positions are not really interested in serving. It's more like a business. They are interested in expanding their investment. So that is why they go into politics, not because they have the public service at their hand or because this is what they want to do or because this is what they specialize in. No, most Nigerian politicians, if not all, but most, enter politics because it is a very financially rewarding
All
system, and
right,
that is why they
Solomon.
invest so much.
Solomon, here is also another scenario that I want us to actually think. like Moses says, he likes to be fair. But let's also look at it another perspective. Is it possible that these officials who are appointed last minute to the expiration of any of these political affiliates or political members in occupying several offices, could it be that there is already an agreement with the incoming administration that, okay, this person will continue with your government, if we, especially if they're within the same political party, right? For example, the APC is handing over to another administration that is also the APC. Now, I employ more employees within my cabinet. I've already had an arrangement with you, an agreement with you, that these persons that I'm employing, within this capacity, when you come on board, they will retain that position. Could it be? Because it's mind-boggling to imagine how a few days to a tenure being expired, public officials are being employed to occupy several positions, and then when the new administration comes, they come again, wipe off, or rather tell all those ones to leave the office and then reappoint. I mean, does it literally make any sense? So is it possible that there is an agreement?
Yes, now thank you so much. That's a very good angle that we have not explored, because if you look at it, we are talking of two sets of appointments here. We're looking at that of the presidency and also the Taraba state governor. And if you look at in both cases, they are both from the same party. Now, the president and the president-elect are both from the same political party. And mind you, this position being given to AIG Garba Umar is a position that has been created. Before now, it wasn't existing. So President Muhammadu Buhari has created this particular position and appointed Garba Umar. So it's very possible that there is an agreement that the next president, through his Minister of Police Affairs, will inherit Garba Umar. That is the only logical conclusion. And same with Taraba State also. It's very possible that this is an arrangement between the incoming governor, that is Kefas Agbu, and Darius Ishaku, the outgoing governor, whereby some of these commissioners that have been put in now will also be retained when he comes in. But never the case, if it is so, I also feel it's not a good idea. Then why not wait? If you want to appoint these people, why not wait? 18 days is so short a period to appoint people. And why I'm very bothered about this, and why all Nigerians should be bothered about it, is that you need to know that there's a lot of money that is going to exchange hands in because of this period. There's a lot of government resources that will be expended because of these appointments, for no matter how short they are. And that is what we do not want. Nigeria is a country whereby our resources are meager compared to the number of people we have and the number of things we have to do. Our priority should not be on appointing people callously and spending money on their appointments. We should think, no matter how small, these monies can go for better use and the development of the people. So that is where my grievance comes from. Not because they might not be kept. Most likely they will be retained, especially in these two contexts I've just cited.
Okay, now, could it be that because we are not making so much noise about it when it happens, and then office holders decide to continue? I mean, we saw that in the case of the former governor of Osun State, Oyetola, when it was almost time for him to leave office, he appointed 30 permanent PEMSECs. He appointed 30 of them. Now, what has become of those 30 PEMSECs? And when it happened, how much uproar did it raise? I mean, if people complain and the media comes down on these political office holders, maybe this trend will stop, because it seems to be a trend now that is continuing. Oyetola did his. Now we are having other governors doing theirs as they're about to leave office. Will this continue?
My brother, unfortunately, no matter how much we talk, we can decide to create a separate TV station, and all we'll do is talk about this particular issue from morning to night, every day for the whole year, for the rest of time, and nothing will change. What needs to happen is not just because we cannot have a media trial on this issue. It will not stand. We need to see bills being sponsored and legislation being created to address some of these issues. I'm hoping that in the 10th Assembly, some bold legislators, will be able to come out, because these are the kind of things that they should bring out to help in minimizing the meager resources we have in this country. You cannot be appointing people callously. 18 days to the end of a regime, you appoint people. It will be very sad if these people are appointed and they will go, and the next governor comes, he appoints a new set of people. Do you know that some of these people would have, in these 18 days, been able to embezzle funds, take out resources, and maybe nobody will trace? So this all brings it all comes back to the fiscal irresponsibility of our public office holders. Nobody cares. After all, it's not my money. It's not your money. So let it be wasted or expended anyhow. And that is one of the issues that has made Nigeria the country we are today. A country with vast resources, extremely wealthy country, whereby we see almost more than 70% of the people living below the poverty line despite these resources. So I think what we need is
legislation. Okay, now let me take you a bit to another story. Federal Executive Council approving
if we
three.
talk for
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm with you.
Okay.
Let me take you to another story. Last minute monies as well. The Federal Executive Council approving 3.4 billion naira consultancy fee for the construction of the second runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. I mean, you are in Abuja. What do you make of this one? I mean, in as much as the money had been set aside since last year, but then making this approval at this time that this administration is leaving office, and there is a possibility that when the next administration comes in, there will be a new minister of aviation. There is that possibility that a new minister of aviation will come on board. But we're seeing for the construction of an airport, we are looking at 3.4 billion. 3.4 billion. I'm going to stress that again. 3.4 billion naira earmarked for consultancy fee. And the Federal Executive Council approved that. So if the Federal Executive Council is... Go ahead.
I can see your colleague over there whispering consultants. Now, you're right. It sounds. But now, let me tell you the difference between what we have spoken about and what we're about to speak about. Now, when you tell me about appointments, government appointments, with less than 3 weeks to the end of the regime, and they are making appointments, and when we describe those as irresponsible, I think we should not get it wrong by also mixing it up with this types of last-minute moves, because in as much as, yes, there's a tendency for corruption to be perpetrated through such approvals and such funding for projects. Don't forget, government is a continuum. It was never expected that when President Muhammadu Buhari comes down with his ministers, it is never expected that government will close down. No, these runways are going to be here by the grace of God, even when all of us are dead and long gone. These runways are expected to be there. So government is a continuum, and if the federal government, if it can be proven that these monies are going to be judiciously used, if this is actually the right amount to be given, because I for certain know that this wouldn't be the first time monies are being paid for consultancy. Yes, for construction of major infrastructure such as runways or even railways. I've personally been involved before. So I don't think there's anything wrong if it can be proven that these monies are not going to be embezzled, because government is a continuum. Long after President Buhari goes, long after President Tinubu will come.
But we're looking at the amount. Is it not too much? I don't know. Pardon?
Not necessarily. 3.4 billion in a context can be too much. In another context, might even be insufficient. Yes, this is construction of major infrastructure. Go and look at how much is being expended all over the world to build such infrastructure. So I think it would be too harsh to outwardly come out and say the money is too much, or why would they? No. What we need to do is we need to juxtapose it, we need to compare it, and we need to also know how much is allotted in such scenarios. But to just assume that they've approved 3.4 billion naira for the runway and it is too much will not be fair, because I'm sure you know some of this
No. Let's not get it.
Expensive.
Let's not mix things up. The money approved for the runway is 92.123 billion naira. That's the money approved for the runway, the construction of the second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. 92.123 billion naira. But what has been approved for consultancy is 3.4 billion naira. That's what I'm saying. Now, another question is, will this be disbursed before May 29?
No, even if it is not disposed, don't forget what will see change, my brother. What will see change, both at state and federal level. We're going to see the politicians go out. The civil servants that actually do the work are still going to remain. So the work actually will still be done. The work is usually being done by those civil servants, or let me say in this case, being supervised by the civil servants. So even when Hadi Sirka, the Minister of Aviation, goes, when President Muhammadu Buhari goes, whoever is coming in to be the Minister of Aviation, alongside the president-elect, President Bola Tinubu, they are all going to come and continue working on some of these projects. Government is a continuum. So I do not want to categorically, like I said earlier, it will be very harsh to just say these monies are too much, especially for the consultancy. I'm not saying it is not too much, neither am I saying it is too much. I think what we should do is to just oppose it and compare it to other allotments that were given to consultants that have done similar projects. But just like infrastructure. I'm hearing
Solomon, you
yes.
have consulted with such an amount of money, Abi. You have consulted before with that kind of money.
Not necessarily.
because you're currently in Abuja now, so it's possible that such projects will come your way. All right.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
yes.
so here is the scenario. We've actually had such situations where this kind of things happen. It's a pattern, with several administrations whereby we see this kind of money is approved. We at the end of the day we don't hear, there's no audit given as to what these monies were used for. Nobody asks questions, and so individuals do what they want to do with that. We had a similar scenario with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed. This same consultancy fee, because I think we all need to become consultants now. This same consultancy fee, in their own case, it's $200 million, whereby the House is calling him to come and explain precisely how comes the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation is consulting with $200 million. And now remember something, that if the press hadn't made this public, of course, nobody would have said anything. This committee constituted wouldn't have been put together. And then, of course, these questions being asked will not be asked. So, which brings us back to the same, question again, whereby these projects, in as much as you say is government continuum, how comes there is no committee set up to audit, to monitor, to give a check and balance of these monies? That's basically what the question is.
No, but do not forget that there is a permanent office in charge of auditing all government expenditure, and that is the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. It's located right at the heart of Abuja here. So you understand, there are already constitutional provisions put in place to check such spending, and it's not something that is starting now, neither will it end now. What I do not want us to delve too much into, because it will be unfair and unbalanced, is when we keep on looking at these amounts of money and imagining that automatically they are going to be embezzled or it's for corrupt purposes, because we want to believe that everything is being done with a precedent in Nigeria. And also, do not forget that apart from the constitutional provision of that allows the Auditor General to checkmate all this spending, we also have the graft agencies. Now, whether they are doing a good job or not, I'm not going to answer that, but they have been constitutionally mandated to also checkmate spending of government and ensure there's no embezzlement. So let us not forget that, yes, some of these things are happening, but then there are already measures put in place to checkmate. So we should trust the system. And what we should
Solomon, are there laws that allows for this last-minute appointments, last-minute financial approval for several projects? Are there laws in the Constitution that allows for it? Especially with these recent appointments we're seeing some state governors embark on, even the president as well.
Yes. But now, there are laws that allow that. They, of course, constitutional clause. Of course, they are. This is Nigeria. We have a constitution. We have a lot of graft agencies. We even have a lot of acts of parliament that checkmate this. But one thing we must also not get mistaken is that, yes, government must spend money. Sometimes the monies might look ridiculous, but do not forget, these are monies that are not just going to be given. It's not just a matter of I just call you this money and you just send it to my account and ola balu. No. Don't forget, there are processes. These monies, there are processes that this.
Hello, Solomon. Are you still with us?
And we must have that system works effectively.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear us? Solomon, are you still there? Okay. So, remember I was saying that Solomon is, it seems like Solomon has gotten some
Well,
consultancy projects, but of course, he's trying to clarify these issues as objectively as possible, being a journalist. But then let's also see a situation like this where possibly sometimes, when it comes to us having to understand the reason why we hear these things, when we come to the news, you put on your TV, you hear this amount of monies, and everyone is wondering exactly where this money is coming from, who is collecting it. Okay, fine. How do we know that these monies are properly utilized, right? Who are these supposed individuals that are being approved of these monies?
well, first of all, Solomon is a journalist, so he's not a politician. So I would not expect that he's involved in any of these monies flying around.
Consultancy
Yeah,
projects.
but looking at the monies flying around, I think the issue here is trust. Nigerians do not have faith
Faith.
in their political office holders, and precedent has shown that sometimes when monies are thrown around like this, they don't go into the projects that they are meant to go into. So you will not blame the common man for raising dust or being worrying that, oh, now they're calling billions of naira, billions of dollars, they're spending so much money. And people know that there's a lot of suffering going on.
True.
There's a lot of suffering going on. And I mean, ASU was on strike for how long? For nine months.
9 months.
9 months.
9 months.
And what were they asking for?
Their salaries.
Salaries.
Their benefits.
Monies due
Their allowances.
unto them. Monies due unto them. And they were kept at home. Students were kept at home for that long. So when people now hear that, oh, this government agency is setting aside this amount of billions or this amount of millions in dollars to carry out a project or for consultancy fee, they start to get offended because it feels like the government doesn't care about the people. So I will not blame Nigerians who are offended or who are apprehensive when they hear things like this. I think we've reestablished contact with Solomon. Okay, well, we're trying to reconnect with Solomon, and so we can continue this conversation with him in Solomon in Abuja, and a lot of monies. And
well, Moses,
truth is,
Esther, Moses,
Esther,
for one.
no,
I'm a consultant.
If you got into a political office, what is there to say? What is there to say that you will not indulge in such frivolities? What is there to say if you got yourself into a political office?
If I get myself into a political office and I begin to see most of this, I do know there's politics playing there, right? And I happen to have an opportunity to possibly stop most of these things while maintaining the sanity of the position I occupy, I would. I'll question a couple of things, but then
don't forget.
Wait, Moses, we're being objective because trust me, there's power in money. There's power in money. So, but it doesn't mean that what is due to you is not gotten. Whatever is due to you because you worked for it. But a situation where it goes beyond that, then that is where you have to question your morale, your integrity. And if you're able to point out these things, very good. The onus is, it boils down on the individual, basically. Don't smile like that.
Yeah, I'm smiling because you've not had bags of Ghana must go open in front of you and asking you, oh, okay, are you going to approve this? Or if you're not going to approve this, and you know that when if you don't play to the gallery, it might be difficult going back into that office. We've seen people that have come out to say, oh, this is actually how much we earn in terms of the salaries that we collect, and then in terms of other things that accrue onto us, this is how much it is. And making that public alone prevented them from going back into office.
Remember the former finance minister, that lady that has this very beautiful British accent.
Adeosun, Kemi
Yes,
Adeosun.
Kemi Adeosun, exactly. When the whole quagmire started off, she didn't want stress, and she didn't want her name to be tarnished. She didn't want any unnecessary dragging by the press or anyone muddling her name. My producer is asking, why did Kemi Adeosun not do NYC? But the truth of the matter is that she stepped down. There was no need for drama. You know, she just left. So a situation where you're put in that fix, where it's like, if you're not able to do this, this is basically the challenges that you go through. You step out. You step down. You maintain your integrity. I mean, don't look at me, Moses. That's the truth.
As far as I am concerned, one way to curtail excessive spending and the clamor to get into political offices is, first of all, to ensure that the forms are affordable, not exorbitantly high, and also reduce some of these expenses.
The forms forward.
Enrollment, intention, and to apply to get into office
Okay.
from the parties. So the parties should reduce the price of their forms, and then when they now get into office, let us know how much they earn.
All right. I thought we were talking about appointments.
No, I'm not talking about
Okay.
appointment. I'm talking about senators, governors,
All right.
the presidents, political elected officers.
Office holders. Okay.
Yes. So when they get the forms that they procure from their parties should be reduced to maybe the same price we jam for, but brought so low that anybody will be able to purchase and run for office. That way, those that have good intentions will be able to run for office as well.
Yeah, sure.
And in doing so, I mean, if you now do that, you would have people who vote for those that they know are credible enough and can actually do things in the interest of the country, not to fill up individual purses. And then, having done that, I mean, if you're able to do that, we will also now get a situation whereby the monies that they get, all those allowances, the cutleries and utensils and newspaper allowance and haircut allowance and those other things will be reduced. That way, the offices will not be as attractive as it is right now.
Very good one, Moses. I like your train of thought.
You're laughing
All right.
because you feel it's not achievable. In the Nigeria of today, maybe not.
So, we're definitely going to take a short break, but when we come back, it will be the unveiling, all right, of an extended segment on entertainment, as we'll serve you everything that happened in the course of the week. Well, Moses will go backstage for a moment, all right?
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. See you shortly.